Ladies and gentlemen, booze and movies. I haven't had tapioca pudding in a long time. I don't know. I think it might be time to change that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna go get a bunch of packets of that gross fisheye stew.
Ooh. Fisheye stew.
That's what tapioca looks like to me. It's
Oh,
like
is that what that? Oh, I see. Yeah, Superman 4 is an interesting look at... They should have stopped at 2 movies, right?
They should have stopped at 1, in my opinion. Even the...
Well, but you like, okay, the first movie, it's cut and dry. Superman comes to Earth, foils Lex Luthor's plot. The thing is that, Lex Luthor would have succeeded had Superman not been there, right?
Yeah.
He would have blown up California.
Yeah, he just would have done it.
The sequel is like the next logical task for Superman. Like, oh, he's got to fight Kryptonians that are also superpowered like him. It just wasn't done very well. It's just like, oh, you can't go back. Once you're mortal, you can't go back. Oh, you can go back.
You can go back because Mom says you can.
Yeah.
Kneel before Zod.
And then like the third one was like Superman versus computers. Because the 80s and computers.
And then versus Computor Lady.
Yes. And so the fourth is like Superman in the 80s, like to the maximum level of the 80s. Like you have...
Flat shoulder dresses on all the women.
Dude, like, yeah, shoulder pads everywhere. Brooke Shields tries to date Clark Kent by taking him to aerobics class.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do in the 80s, because aerobics. And no, it's like the B plot is the Daily Planet gets taken over by an evil capitalist man who wants to turn it into a tabloid. And
for
Brooke
sensational journalism.
Because that's what sells. Headlines sell.
Yeah, it sells. Superman says, drop dead, kid.
Yeah, the Daily Sun or the Daily Planet hasn't made money in, oh my God, 3 years. It's a failure.
Yeah, how would it have, considering all the people that they employ, how would they have even stayed afloat 3 years not making any fucking money?
Considering it's not the 90s yet, where the internet hasn't happened yet. I think the Daily Planet's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But
Jimmy
money
never puts his fucking camera
But we got to
down.
make profits. We got to make profits. And then Lex Luthor just gets out of prison because that's what he does. He breaks out of prison.
very
Everything is
easily.
just so by the numbers. Like, oh, Lex Luthor has an evil plan. Superman, Superman figures into that somehow. And
he has a really, really fancy car with Dr. Seuss horns on every door that are apparently a sound system of some kind.
Yeah.
And then inept chain gang guards just get in a car and then fail to react to anything at all as the car closes up around him and then drives off a cliff.
Right. And this supercar is driven by Lex Luthor's nephew, Lenny Luthor, I guess, who is played by John Cryer, who is like the totally bodacious, new wave mod. Whoa! Like everything is just, he is wearing 3 different patterns on his clothes because the 80s.
And one of them is shiny leopard, and then the other one is shiny alligator.
And the other one is Justine Bateman's jacket from How Can I Tell If I'm Really in Love?
Only so many people in the world even know what the fuck that is.
Right. That's a deep cut.
Deep.
But yeah, so there's just too many nukes in the world, and some kid with an overdubbed voice writes to Superman, says, Superman, blow up all the nukes in the world, and then we'll have world peace.
Our senator will never keep us safe.
Yeah, something like that.
We should write to Superman.
He's already a burgeoning anti-government guy.
Yeah.
He's already a prepper.
Yeah, he's got what was that? Probably like middle school-ish. So he's got like
13 or so, yeah. 2,
maybe 3 years until he has the at-home cutout anarchy symbol safety pinned onto his leather vest.
Yeah.
With his egg white mohawk and like one hand with painted nails and then chains.
Yeah, well, he's going to be a teenager in the 90s, so he's going to be all pastels when he does that.
Oh, that's true. Well, no, he could have been 90s punk. He could have had flannels and
flannels and jorts.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so like Lex Luthor's big plan. Oh, yeah, they didn't count on Lex Luthor being out of prison, which just goes unnoticed. Like there's no like one would think they could tie it in with the new Daily Sun or Daily
Yeah.
Daily Planet theme, where like Lex Luthor's out of jail.
Yeah,
broke
that
out of
guy's
jail.
like-
sensational headlines.
Yeah.
Evil criminal mastermind
They're like,
breaks out of jail.
Exactly. They could have been in the
No.
boardroom and be like, we're selling real news. He's like, what about this news?
He just-
evil mega
Yeah.
mind criminal escapes. Let's get this on front page.
He just shows up in his penthouse apartment, which is like the top floor of the Chrysler Building, somehow being
Again,
a wanted criminal mastermind.
I told you he just has
Because-
a really good real estate
because
agent.
that's what Lex Luthor does. It's just so fucking by the numbers.
And
you
he
know?
collects anything
like
from Pier 1 Imports.
like this movie is so by the numbers. Like just on her way to work, Lois Lane, just the subway driver just has a heart attack for no reason, and Superman has to save the whole train, but not acknowledge that Lois Lane was on the train, even though he sees her get on and is like, "Oh, I better save this train because Lois Lane and 500 other people."
I should say that the guy
It's just-
the guy playing the subway conductor deserved an Academy Award for his
You never see
performance.
his face. You see his hand.
He goes,
Yeah.
I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah. And there's no fail safe on the train. Like he doesn't have to push a button every 5 minutes to let the train know he's still
Yeah.
alive.
And it's not
Like
odd-
most trains do.
Well, and even at that time, I mean, we had some automation. You know, there's probably like a switch or some sort of sensor on the track that, you know, you click by this switch and it's like, oh, it clicked by these two switches too close to each other. It shuts off the power to the tracks.
Yeah.
No, nothing like that.
Or
apparently.
the train is going too fast for a subway train. Maybe we should cut power. No, Superman has to fly awkwardly matted through the tunnel as an awkward POV, and then he just steps on the third rail, even though he just uses one of the regular rails. He just steps on that, absorbs the power, and the
Yeah.
train just stops.
Yeah.
It's just lame. So lame.
Which is stupid. I just want to point out that for subways, I know this is Metropolis, not New York, but it's New York.
It's new. Yeah.
It's New York. And other movies have touched on it, but I know for a fact that even since the 70s, there were tracking assemblies and a control room of people who knew where
Yes.
every string of cars were at every time. I mean, there's been movies about, hijackings in the subways. Like, for the complete ridiculousness of someone could just... I mean, what if the guy, like, fell asleep? What if he set his coffee cup on the fucking control stick?
Well,
you
now
know?
it's all about texting, right? The
Oh,
guys
yeah,
are-
he's texting
They're
while-
crashing trains because texting while driving trains. But no,
Buses
it's
too
just
now.
it's just so by the numbers, and then they shoehorn in another flying with Lois scene with the same music from the first movie.
And another erasing Lois's memory scene.
Yes.
Which, can we just say that's
And it's like-
basically rape?
Basically, yeah. Superman is like, he's conflicted. He doesn't like, should I? It's like Superman has a prime directive all of a sudden. Like, should I interfere with the natural course of this planet
Right?
by destroying all nuclear weapons? Like, oh, I'm in love with Lois Lane, which means I'm a part of this planet too. And Lois Lane just shows up like, oh, we had a correspondence dinner to go to, and he's like, oh, let me go outside for some fresh air. And like, oh, I'm gonna fall off the building. Like, no, we're gonna fly to San Francisco and back in 5 minutes. In the same, and I'm gonna. There's this. Oh, it's fucking hilarious where he lets her go, and she just starts tumbling by herself, like whoa, like. And then
How'd you
picks
do
her back up.
solo?
Yeah, like fuck you, Superman. You're a dick to Lois Lane
super
for
dick.
doing that. And then he gets back to Metropolis and like, oh, I flew all the worries out of me. I know what I have to do now. I'm gonna get rid of nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
And also kiss you to erase your memory again.
Again, I'm telling you, it's just basically rape.
And yeah.
It's really awful.
Given how cheap. Well, okay, this movie is so fucking cheap. They didn't have any new score for it. They just ripped off John Williams' score, and there's a little credit in the beginning that says music rearranged and composed by Alexander Courage. Like, we've come full circle. He did Star Trek, and now he's doing canon Superman.
And if anyone doesn't know the Superman theme, it's super catchy. It's a great theme. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. So they just have that playing it all, and it doesn't even match like what's happening in the movie because it wasn't written for that movie.
Well, and then talking about shoehorns, it has the biggest shoehorn of all, Nuclearman,
Yeah.
which was the stupidest villain fucking ever. He is so for anyone who hasn't seen this movie, so what they do is Superman donated one of his hairs to a museum
Yes.
to show how strong it was.
It's holding up a 1,000 pound
weight.
which
All
is
on
a
its
giant little ball, like a turn of the century weightlifter's ball.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah. Hup, hup. Hey, Phineas. It's like Phineas, yeah. Phineas and Jasper are here to lift this weight.
Well, and then Lex Luthor ingeniously, him and his cousin or him and his nephew just stay behind from the tour,
Yeah.
break into it with bolt cutters.
They smash glass like a couple of common thieves.
Yeah. Doesn't explain how they get away. We go back into the Lois and everything else story.
Not only do they smash the glass, they cut the hair off
with bolt cutters.
With bolt cutters. Like, wouldn't the hair be strong enough to be resist cutting with anything maybe other than a diamond or something?
He would have had to make kryptonite scissors.
Yeah, but it's just as lame as in Batman versus Superman when Batman steals the kryptonite off screen. Lex Luthor and Lenny Luthor steal the hair follicle, and then it just cuts to Brooke Shields in her office, laying on her desk as she's greeting
trying to seduce
Clark Kent.
Clark. But then when we get back to the Lex Luthor part of the story, it goes back in, and him and his nephew somehow use the DNA from the hair to grow this gross hairless tribble thing.
Yes.
And then they put that in a box with a computer, some charcoal, and cuts of fabric.
And some fabric.
And then they launch it in a nuke.
Yes.
That Superman grabs and throws into the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sun sparks the computer to give all the data to the brain of this developing proto-child that somehow built himself and the costume out of the charcoal and cuttings of fabric.
This is all correct so far.
And then it's Nuclearman. He goes out and goes, whoa!
Yeah, no, he comes out and he sounds like Gene Hackman with a filter. And I didn't realize this is the first time I haven't watched this movie in a while, but this is the first time I realized that they used Gene Hackman as the voice of Nuclearman. And
his voice honestly sounds like they slowed Gene Hackman down while he's talking through a box.
But that makes me appreciate this movie just a little bit more because you think, that's never explicitly stated, but like, where does all the other genetic material come from? Oh, Lex Luthor probably just whacked off in a petri dish or something, and that's why he has Lex Luthor's voice and ego.
Yeah.
So
most likely.
And what is Nuclearman's character? Destroy Superman, because he's the villain in the movie.
And take ladies.
He just sees a picture of Brooke Shields and is like, I want the lady. And Superman, not having any reference, is like, I don't know where the lady is. You can't have the lady.
Yeah. Which prior to that encounter,
was there a scene missing? Or?
Pretty much, because prior to that encounter, Superman was dying.
Right.
Like, it literally showed him dying. He dug out the crystal he found. That in the movie prior to that, the crystal should have never had any more power left. Anyway, skipping all that bullshit, uses the power to heal himself, but he does that off camera. Because sick and dying Clark Kent gets the crystal, lays on it, and then it cuts to, I'm stealing a lady. Oh, Superman's here, keeping him from stealing a lady.
And the way he's sick is because he gets scratched on the neck by Nuclearman, because with his Lee press-on nails. He
has beautiful nails.
And he goes, and it's like he's got, I don't understand how the director's like, he's sick, so let's make it look like he's got the flu. So he's at home with like a humidifier in front of a fireplace, a roaring fire, and a towel over his head like he's got the flu. Like, okay.
Patting himself
and
off.
He doesn't.
I'm sweating.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, visitors, Lois. I'm sick. Mr. Lebowski's in the West Wing. I can't. Mr. Lebowski. Anyway.
No, I hate with a passion. I hate Nuclearman.
Yeah.
And then there was a scene that I just noticed, and I made sure to rewind it to show you. I've seen this movie multiple times before. I came back and I realized they cut something.
Yes.
Because he sees the newspaper. Yeah. So Nuclearman walks across Lex Luthor's office, sees a picture of newspaper lady, not Lois Lane, other newspaper lady, Brooke Shields. I'm trying to remember the character's name, but I just can't.
Warbucks or something?
Missy Morbucks.
Daughter Warbucks? I don't know.
But so he sees the newspaper, it's laying there, and he sees the picture, so he walks over to it, and then it cuts to him like he's supposed to be looking at the picture. But there is clearly, and very, very clearly, smoke, little bits of ash, and a tiny bit of flame comes up.
And I'm wondering, like, was there a scene where he's holding onto the newspaper
and it lights on fire?
He's aroused that it lights on fire.
And then
he's
they're
like, lady, good, I want lady.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, that's too sexual. We got to cut that because clearly there was something else there.
Yeah, I would like to see the director's cut of Superman 4, if I may. Which you made a comment like Christopher Reeve looks bored and like always done with these movies. Like, no, he co-wrote the story for this movie. Like, this was his Star Trek 5. He didn't direct, but he was like, I want to get a story about Superman ending the nuclear arms race because it's the 80s and the Cold War is still going and missiles were still a thing.
I have to respect it. Not a single like Cuban reference the entire thing. They reference the Russians and they reference the Americans.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Cuban Missile Crisis thing.
No, well, it's like Watchmen, where it's like, oh, it's the Soviets and the Americans are going to blow the world up, trying to blow each other up, and
makes sense.
And okay, so like let's look at the timeline here. Superman announces to the fucking United Nations, no more nukes. I'm going to destroy all the nukes in the world because I'm a citizen of this planet now.
And I can make that choice.
Even though I normally just rescue my girlfriend falling from buildings and subway trains, and I that one time I turned back time to rescue just my girlfriend. And,
no one remembers it, but it totally happened.
But so I'm a citizen of this planet now. No more nukes. But he doesn't go to like silos where the nukes are being stored, like yank them out of silos and throw them in his giant space net. The governments of the world are still launching nukes for some reason. They're launching nukes for tests. And he waits until we launch a nuke and then grabs it and then throws it in his space net. And once he has all the nukes that we've launched, he just, like a bolo.
Yep.
He turns it around about 10, even though he just needs to really just push it once because there's no friction. And I'm sure he's just strong enough to just heave it once.
Even if it takes 300,000 years for it to get to the sun, it will get there. Nothing's going to slow it down.
In fact, it might accelerate as it approaches because gravity and physics and things I think about. Because they exist.
Well, and then there's the whole like everything's related to Star Trek thing, right? And the joke we have, so like Generations, everyone remembers it's kind of an awful film, but I fucking love it because it's got Kirk, Picard, and my favorite supervillain of all time, Malcolm McDowell,
Dr. Soren,
Dr. Soren, and he launched in that movie. Dr. Soren launches a missile that takes literally travels faster than light to get to a sun.
Worf says something like, the missile will take 8 seconds to reach the sun. Our targeting scanners will take 10 seconds to lock on. Like, as a 14-year-old child in the theater, I was like, what the... That's not how physics work. Did we not watch the whole of Star Trek before this and say that that's not how things work? A gas-powered rocket is not going to take 8 seconds to get anywhere? Except, like, blow up?
So to rate in that segue, Superman whips around with the steel mesh net, by the way, which steel is only so strong.
It's literally like a fishing net or something.
Yeah. He whips it around a bunch and throws it towards the sun, and it makes it there in 3-ish seconds. Beep. Does like a Rick and Morty style.
Well, I like to me, it's like the South Park where the evil Towley dies and he takes all day to fall into the pit. It's like, no! Blap!
Yeah.
Like,
or when they kill the dragon, it's like lame, dude.
But somehow he didn't get all the nuclear missiles because one of the nuclear missiles.
The S is silent.
Gene Hackman says nuclear the whole time. They just launch it for some reason, and Gene Hackman just you don't see it happen. Just it's there. The little package is on that missile, and then
they don't show any like super glues it on there or anything.
And he's like, for some reason, he's hanging out. As a disguised as a general with his ball cap with 5 stars on it.
Yeah, and he came in with his nuclear tactician / arms dealer buddy.
Yeah, the guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark who says top men at the end. It's totally the same guy.
It is? Oh my god, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. That's that one other role he's had. And
he just strolls in.
But there's like, oh, we have bad weather. We can't launch. He's like, no, I'm a general. Push the button, Max.
Yeah, he's like, are you aware of the code? It's like, yes, sir. It's like, well, code, blah, 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 weather override. Launch it. And then he still hits the button before
and the guy's like, well, it's a nuclear missile. Seems legit. Whatever.
Yeah. All right. And they launch it. It almost hits the building because Gene Hackman hits the button too early.
Yeah.
It almost hits the bunker.
Because it doesn't get fully vertical. It's like halfway up. It's like, oh, shit, we're just going to launch. That's how that works.
Premature nuclear junction.
No, it was not fully erect before it went off. That's so embarrassing.
I swear this never happens.
I don't want to talk about it.
But it's enjoyable in its own right, though. Although I have to say I love 3 way better than 4.
Yeah,
3's
and that's
bad,
also
but it's fun.
That's for some reason 3 is the least like remembered. It's the one where Superman is drunk and a drunk asshole, and it's the one where Richard Pryor hacks into Metropolis's everything, basically.
Yeah.
Makes everything fucked up.
And makes a supercomputer lady accidentally.
I hated that where she turns into a robot. That was fucking scary as a kid. She's like, blah, 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 blah. I'm a robot now.
Yep. it was really, really strange. But like I said, it's good. It's good not for the reasons that they made it though. This movie is its own little special kind of what the fuck am I watching?
It was because it's a Canon film. It doesn't have the traditional Canon logo on it, but it is a Golan Globus production. And it does say a Canon film in the titles. And this was a case of somehow the rights must have lapsed and they got them for cheap, or it was like we got Superman, we can make money off of it. Who doesn't like Superman? And they even got Gene Hackman.
I know, which is crazy because Gene Hackman. You made the comment during the movie, and I totally agree. Like Gene Hackman's a good actor.
Yeah,
like,
he didn't need to be in that movie. Like why? He's not Michael Caine, where he's like, sure, I'll do it. For money, I'll do Poseidon 2. I'll do Jaws 4, whatever. I just pay me.
Maybe he was just around, and it's like the joke Heather made. It's like he's allowed to just pick whatever from the fucking prop house he can put in the movie if he's allowed to be in it. So he's like trying to see if he can ruin the movie.
Gene Hackman is also credited with decorating Lex Luthor's penthouse and Lenny's little 80s space where he's got his frozen yogurt set up or whatever in his little punk rock Devo inspired lair. Whoa!
As he's getting spun around. Whoa!
One of Nuclearman's ambiguous powers, he just points at people and spins them around. He points at things and spins them around.
Yeah. Well, and it shows us in this movie, too, that Superman has the power that his blue laser eyes rebuild walls.
Yes. He rebuilds the Great Wall of China by staring at it.
He also dissolves the Kryptonian birthing chamber by staring at it.
Yes, because he's going to sell his mom's farm, and it's going to be a Walmart. Because also 80s, it's development, gonna bulldoze the old for the new, and but back to Nuclear Man's powers. Like when he wants Lady, he's seen Lady and he wants Lady, and Superman won't give him Lady, so he starts fucking shit up in Metropolis, and he will shoot bolts of lightning or sun power from his hands that will blow up cars, and also gently push cops away.
Well, it'll first flip the footage on cops, so they slide backwards.
Yeah,
and then their cars will go backwards.
They will
and explode.
but the cop himself will just gently be pushed away and not die because it's PG. Yeah.
Well, then I like his other thing, like you said. Superman throws him onto the dark side of the moon because Superman, for some reason, just deduces that sun is his power.
He says, I was sick, I had time to read my high school chemistry book or something, and I guessed that if he was born from the sun, then he needs the sun to live. That's reasonable.
Except for Superman was born under a red sun, and then the yellow sun gives him powers. Anyway.
Yeah.
Science. But, so like they have the fight on the moon. Superman takes him up there in an elevator because he keeps him from sun powers and blah, blah, blah.
No, don't go in that elevator. Ha, I trapped you.
But then he gets out anyway because the dark side of the moon rotated. Which I know the moon does have a mild rotation.
That's actually, the physics are all wrong because the dark side of the moon is called that because it doesn't face the sun. Or I don't know if it doesn't reflect, it doesn't face the earth, but I don't know if it ever gets sunlight at all. I don't know.
I think I could be wrong. I think the moon itself does become fully exposed eventually because the moon is synchronous. The moon itself isn't rotating, but it's rotating around the sun.
That's what I thought. The moon is rotating around the earth, but does it one side face the earth or does it have its own rotation? I don't know. Physics, god damn it.
I actually think, no, I think it stares directly.
What I do know is that Superman can push the moon in its orbit and create a solar eclipse.
Yep.
Without sort of repercussions to
fucking the world,
to tides or gravitational pull or anything.
There's turtles like all of a sudden jumping out of the ocean and climbing up the beach, and wolves are attacking each other, and all of a sudden bears start hibernating in the summer and freaking out in the winter.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just.
But it was to save Lois.
He turned back time by the rotation of the planet in one movie. to save Lois, and why not just push the moon out of orbit? Just a little bit.
I want to know. I wish they made a 5th movie that just
They
showed.
did. It was called Superman Returns with Brandon Routh, and it was literally intended to be a sequel to the Donner universe, Richard Donner universe.
Well, I wanted specifically a 5th movie all about just someone who decides that Lois Lane is Superman's weakness, and then just sees what Superman will do to save her.
Yeah.
I wanted like what if he takes Lois Lane to like the moon and he says, I'm gonna blow up her oxygen tank unless you laser through the center of the earth, and then Superman just fucking does it. Like, where would he draw the line?
I want to see, like, I think a daring Superman movie would be like Lois Lane dies in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, he can't save her this one time. Like, she totally Gwen Stacy's off a bridge or something.
Yeah, and then he just loses his shit and goes
Yeah.
dark Superman, starts ripping people in half and
Yeah,
shit. That would be
they do that
amazing. I'd really watch
Yeah.
that Superman movie.
Well, I don't know about losing his ship, but then it'd be like, now what do I do? Who do I save? What's my purpose?
Oh my God.
Your purpose is to grow nails and scratch Superman in the neck. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's another thing. Nuclearman is like this retarded gorilla of a beast. And
I want lady.
I want lady. Blarg. Yeah. He yells blarg more than once in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, and I love, like, usually when you give that villain, right, it's the whole we can't control the monsters, recreate kind of plot, which has been in tons of movies, and it's always great because then you know the monster is going to kill the bad guy because the bad guy can't control the monster.
Well,
no, instead this guy just does what Lex Luthor says, even though in the beginning telling him he's a piece of shit and he could easily kill him.
Yeah, the first meeting is like, I'm the father now. Like, look at me, I'm the captain now. And he's like, oh, I'm just gonna walk into this shadow. Don't follow me. Ah, you can't, because it's in shadow. You can't get up. Like, what?
Yeah, and it's just weird. It's like
Superman put him on the dark side of the moon. It couldn't stop him. So Lex Luthor is pretty much fucked, right? Like,
yeah.
Walking into a shadow, like, oh, I'm down now.
Oh, can we talk about some more of the space physics? So there's two things I love.
Yes.
One, him talking to the Russian guy through space.
Through his helmet.
Through space. So there's a vacuum and then a most likely almost entirely soundproof surface.
Yes.
So that, and he hears him. But then also when they're on the moon and gravity is the same except for when they're throwing each other. And then when Superman can get pounded into the surface of the moon like a camping steak.
I'm falling asleep just thinking about this. Also on the moon, there's this giant black curtain.
Oh yes,
just hanging up.
Yeah,
I get that before HD probably couldn't see it.
Oh yeah, I probably matted in on VHS,
Yeah,
no problem.
It was probably just all blurry, but you can literally see folds. They didn't even bother to pull it tight. There was just these folds like a theater curtain right behind them on the moon.
So about at the 1/3 mark in the screen, there's the one really big fold. Did you see it? It was moving slightly.
It probably had a fan on because it's hot. The cameras are hot. And
the lights are hot and everything's hot. You're filming this in California in the summer. But I really love to... I equated it to the scene in Night of the Lepus, which I think you've watched with me before. But Night of the Lepus is famous for having this shot where they forgot a set designer in the shot. So these are supposed to be 20-foot tall rabbits.
Yeah, blown up bunnies, but
there's a 1,000-foot tall man raking the background.
It's awesome.
And he's not even.
And they just used it because they couldn't afford to redo that, or
you know how
different footage.
You know how hard it is to get 40 rabbits to run in the same direction.
Yeah. You just put a carrot there, maybe. I don't know.
What I love about it too, it's so the curtain happens fast enough you could miss it. The guy in Night of the Lepus, he's there for a good 3-4 seconds. He's in the shot.
That's so bad.
We should
watch that next.
Yeah, we should watch that sometime and do a podcast just on Night of the Lepus. It's pretty great. Giant killer rabbits.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good, and it's got Dr. McCoy in it.
Yes, right. Man, he must have needed a pay. It must have been in between Star Trek rerun royalty checks or something. He needed a paycheck.
It was about that time. It was 70s-ish when it was made.
Hey, we got the guy from Star Trek. William Shatner? No, the other guy from Star Trek. Leonard Nimoy? No, the other guy from Star Trek.
Takei?
Scotty?
Bones, damn it. We got
Yeah,
bones.
we got the surly doctor, and he's gonna wear a jean jacket and a neckerchief.
Well, put him in the beginning. He'll be fine there.
And then Superman 4, obviously, you have the A plot of Nuclear Man and the B plot of hostile takeover of the Daily Planet, and they all get wrapped up at the same time.
Like
Because while we're
instantaneously.
focused on Superman beating up Nuclear Man and defeating him, Perry White somehow had meetings with bankers.
And got huge
and,
loans.
Yeah, and bought out Mr. Warbucks and Brooke Shields and made the Daily Planet a broadsheet, journalistically focused newspaper again.
Yeah, which if it was leaking money 3 years in advance, I don't know how he's going to pay back those
Well,
loans.
the internet's 4 years away at this point, so
It's just downhill
they're
from here.
fucked.
He's going to do that like secret bankruptcy thing.
That's why the Daily Planet is a blog in Man of Steel.
The blogging planet.
Yeah. Lois Lane is a blogger. Kind of.
But what's great too about the wrap up of Nuclear Man is Superman throws him into a, for some reason, open nuclear reactor in a nuclear power plant.
Well, the cooling towers aren't like right over the reactors, right?
Well, the cooling towers are usually where the water has been released. Because what people don't realize is the nuclear energy is not what's actually making the power. They use nuclear output to superheat water and shove it through turbines.
Yeah, to make steam.
To make steam. Turbines are what make the power. So the big towers you see that has nothing to do with the nuclear, that's cooling the water.
Yeah. But he falls into that, and suddenly Metropolis is like the Griswold's house.
Yeah.
It's like all the lights that weren't on are on now.
Yeah, it forced them on. The ones that were on got brighter, and the ones that were off went on.
All 60-watt light bulbs are now 100 watts. Lumens or whatever the candle power.
You know, GE had a field day with that because they sold so many light bulbs and dishwashers and everything else got blown out by that surge.
Yeah, that ad campaign really helped out.
But what I understand is like why was the reactor door open? Like they even show it like it shuts and locks on Nuclear Man
Right,
all on
like
its own.
were they just running? Was it like, oh, Johnny left the door open again, or like doesn't that release nuclear fissile material into the atmosphere?
Yeah.
Like Chernobyl style or something.
Or maybe like the guy was just like replacing the rods and like he had it open because he was getting the other set. Like fucking Fifth Element when they're recharging the damn cruise plane.
I just gotta get this cobalt rod in here.
Yep, I'm getting ready to put it in. Oh, a guy fell in there. What the fuck? Oh, no, it works.
Oh, but look at the power is off the charts, so I guess it's fine. We're fine. Everyone's fine here now. How are you?
Oh, fuck. So many other directions you could go besides Superman. But it's adorable. It is adorable in its own right.
It killed the franchise for 20 years. It literally killed the franchise. They're like, no, Superman's done. We like Batman now. Because Tim Burton Batman came out like literally a year later.
Which I absolutely love.
The Prince soundtrack and Jack Nicholson. It's like, holy shit, Batman.
I fucking love that Batman movie.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece.
I actually have the...
You have
Batman
the
Returns
poster of the inadequate sequel to Batman, but whatever.
We'll argue that another day. Actually, I love Batman Returns, but just because it went the next step up with quirky.
Full walking.
Yeah, it's got
It's a giant
walking.
It's not a power plant. It's a capacitor. I'm gonna steal power from Gotham.
It has Christopher Walken trying not to do an accent, talking to Danny DeVito dressed like a fishman bird, eating a raw fish.
Ugh.
How the fuck could you not love that?
No, that took the Penguin too far with that.
I love
it was
gross
over the
mutated
top.
Penguin.
It was over the top. It was like, oh shit, Batman's a success now with Michael Keaton. Okay, now everyone wants to be in Batman Returns. Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer, Christopher. They shoved everyone and wanted to be in that movie into that movie.
Which one's the one with Schwarzenegger? That's Return or Forever, right?
That's Batman. No, that's Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. You're right, because it's called Batman and Robin, even though Batgirl shows up.
And yeah, so it should be Batman and Robin and Batgirl.
But I that one's my favorite of all because it has a drinking game you can play with it. You drink every time there's a bad pun or flywire action.
Yes.
You get
or a butt shot.
And you get fucked up so fast.
Everybody chill.
So there's a part I saw that movie in theaters, like when it came out.
Me too.
And I could swear there's something in the DVD that's missing from the theater.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to tell that.
So there's one I remember in theater, and maybe it was just on a commercial, like the preview. But I remember in theaters, Schwarzenegger turning around with the gun, and he says, "Simon says freeze." but on my
Oh.
DVD that doesn't happen.
He says, everybody chill.
That too, but I could swear it was a part he says Simon Says Freeze.
Oh. No, I wouldn't remember that.
I swear, all two of you who ever watch this, do some research.
Yeah.
Prove me right or completely wrong.
Hello, Sarah Connor is a friend of mine. I was told she was here. Could I see her, please? That's my favorite, like, just straight Arnold line of any movie.
Yeah.
He's just, could I see her, please? Come back tomorrow. Okay, I'll be back.
I would have to watch Terminator now. I love Terminator.
Yeah.
Terminator had its own. Maybe we should do one about the
Terminator.
franchise.
See, that's the thing. Like, Superman 4 is a total B movie. It's a piece of shit by the numbers Superman story. Terminator was literally like a cunt hair away from being just a shitty B movie.
Yeah.
But it had that James Cameron thing. You know, it's a little Arnold was in it, and it got elevated just a little bit
Yeah.
to being a big budget blockbuster movie. It was really good.
And even though it was slightly, like you said, it was close to being like the B budget know nothing movie. It had like a charm to it too. Like everyone in there was giving their all. Like all the actors really were putting in 100%.
Unlike Superman 4, where it's just
no one
Margot
gives a shit.
Kidder just chewing her dentures on screen.
Was this before or after Margot Kidder went insane?
It was during.
It was during her insanity.
I think it was during.
Okay.
I don't think. Yeah. Which, you know, mental illness is nothing to joke about.
No, but it's just it establishes the timeline. Of the character.
Somebody in Margot Kidder's life really should have stepped up and checked her out. Anyway.
But yeah, and like you said, I said that Christopher Reeve looked bored, even though he co-wrote it. Maybe it was that whole thing. It was kind of like with
this is not my vision or something like that. Like,
pretty
I
much
had a vision and this is not it. He
kind
just
of
finished it.
What's kind of like Vin Diesel in Riddick. You know, like halfway through the movie, you kind of see the look in his eye of, oh shit, I wrote this.
Fucking necromancers.
Necromongers.
Necromongers.
I like Chronicles of Riddick. I like all the stuff Steven hates.
I'm Riddick the Fury. I'm the Furian.
I'm a Furian. Hey, Pitch Black is a fucking amazing movie.
Pitch Black is a quality film.
Yeah.
With a good, you know, like you don't expect her to die. Spoilers, you don't expect her to die, but she does.
And it's a perfect thing, too. She says, I'll die for them, but I will not die for you. And then a monster pulls her into the darkness.
And she dies for him.
It's amazing.
Oh. Are we done? Is that...
I
exhausted Superman 4?
Well, Superman 4 exhausted Superman 4, but I don't think there's much more else we can say about it. It is worth watching. To anyone out there who decides to listen to this, I do suggest, please watch Superman 4. It is worth its weight in, I don't know, something cheap. Aluminum,
Kryptonite.
maybe? It's worth its weight in kryptonite.